everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, hey, I'm Bella Elizabeth, and I participated in the Disney College program last year in the fall, and then I extended into the spring, so fall of 2019. And I am very excited to film this video today because it is one that you all have probably been waiting for a long time, and I feel like if you're doing research on the college program, you probably came about this video. So hey, welcome. We have a lot of fun here. By the way, before I start, I just wanted to show you all my t-shirt here. Just got it from Disney Springs, from World of Disney. Very excited about this. It looks very 2000s, and I was so happy to find it because there hasn't been a lot of new merch recently due to everything that's been going on. Honestly, it kind of look like a Disney dad right now, you know, like the jeans, the shirt. I low-key feel like my dad would wear this to the park, so like. So for today's video, I decided that I would just go through and answer any and all questions that you guys have about the Disney College program. And the reason why is because I've never done an informational video on the program before. I've kind of talked about it here and there when I made videos on the program. The reason that I haven't actually done a video like this is because I feel like there are so many of them out there. Like, so many other Disney YouTubers have done videos on the application process or on the role that they had or just any kind of stuff like that. And I never did it because there's so many out there, and I feel like you could just look it up and you're gonna get the information that you need. And I just don't want to be repetitive and just kind of like say the same stuff that literally everyone has been saying. So I decided instead, I was thinking the other day and I was like, why don't I just literally have you guys ask me whatever it is that you want to ask about the program, and then I can answer to the best of my ability. I wanted to mention, I get tons of DMs of people asking me random things about the program, and I figured why not just answer all of them in a video. Then that way I have a video that's kind of long overdue because, like I said, I never talk about the program, and also now I can just cover anything that you guys have been wanting to ask me. I do try to answer my DMs, but I don't always get to all of them. Without further ado, let's get right into this. I am excited. I did my very best to go through on Instagram, and I just kind of read through them all, and I picked up on the ones that I got asked multiple times and kind of just combined them all into certain questions. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to answer everything, but I will hopefully cover a lot. And in addition to that, I'm probably just going to throw in some things that I wanted to include. So based on the questions that you guys asked me, I came up with 3 categories, I'd say, that all of these questions belong in. So the first one is requirements for the program. The second one is questions related to the application process. And then the third category is questions that are just kind of related to the program in general and my experience on the program. And I did want to mention, a lot of you guys asked a lot of questions about the quick service role because I was quick service in the first part of my program. But the thing is, like I said, because there's so many questions, on a separate occasion, I'm going to make a video about quick service. So if you asked any question related to that, don't worry, we'll get to that another day. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna just give a little summary about the program in general. If you already know enough about the program and don't need to hear this, you can go ahead and skip. But I am gonna go through and say a little summary because there actually are a lot of questions that I get asked about the program in general. So I want just to make it clear what it is exactly. The Disney College program is an internship. It is an internship where college students get to go and work for Disney for I would say, a term. That's just the way that I would phrase it. So there's 2 different programs that you can do, but they're all the same program. It's just the time that makes the difference. So there's Advantage and then like regular. I looked this up so that I could give you the correct information. So for the spring program, I'm just gonna read this because I don't want to say the wrong thing. Program dates for spring semester start in January or February and end in May or June. So it's like an average of 5 months. But the spring Advantage starts at the same time and ends later. So everyone for spring goes home earlier, and then if you are spring Advantage, you're gonna stay through till July or August. For the fall, it starts in August or September and ends in December or January of the following year, while Fall Advantage starts in late May or June. So the difference there is that for the fall program, you're gonna start earlier instead of staying later, if that makes sense. Bottom line is, if you're doing a regular program, you're gonna be there around 5 months. It's gonna be around like 7 or 8 months if you do an Advantage program. So then there's the option of extending your program. This is something that you cannot choose to do right away. So let's say, and this is what I did. So I'm just gonna explain what I I did so that it makes more sense. I did the 2019 fall program. So I arrived in August, and that program would normally end in January. But what they do is they send out an email about, I think, halfway through the program saying, if you want to extend your program, you can apply now. So you apply to do it. You don't have to interview again. You just have to do a very simple application, say what roles you're interested in, and then they get back to you on whether or not that you can extend in the role that you wanted to extend in. Or they give you like a few options, very limited though. It's not like it was in the beginning, it's very like shortened. So if you want to extend, you're gonna extend maybe 4 months. So for me, I extended, and there were 2 options for when you would leave, like your departure date for your extension. So my extension starts in January when I was originally supposed to end, and then it went into April, end of April. So the 2 options were April and May. Of course, with this virus, it got cut off, but we're not gonna talk about that. My departure date would have been end of April. So I got 4 more months that I would have been there. So on this program, you are literally working as a Disney cast member just like any other cast member is working. You're not doing something differently, you're not in a different job, like it's the exact same as a regular cast member. And I think this is something that a lot of people ask and don't understand, but you are a regular cast member, you're not any different from a full-time one. You are working with them, you have the name tag, you have the same costume, everything. However, you can't just work anywhere that you want. There's a specific set of roles that are available for you to work as in this program. I'm gonna go through them real quick. Custodial, housekeeping, quick service food and beverage, lifeguard, merchandise, character attendant, character performer, recreation attractions, bell services, bibbidi bobbidi boutique, bus greeter, convention guide, children's activities, costuming, floral, photo pass, cedar, vacation planner, and watercraft. The only one that I'm not seeing on here that I don't know why it's not on here is front desk at resorts. Those are the specific roles that you can get. So that's basically the whole program. You work for Disney, you live in company sponsored housing. You don't have to, but it is provided, which is basically like a dorm. And it's just like any college dorm. It looks like an apartment. You get a certain amount of roommates. It depends on what housing complex you live in. I'm gonna get into that later, but there's several. There is transportation provided. You don't have to have your car, but there are buses available to take you to and from work or to and from the parks, because these buses have certain routes that just go around constantly. Hopefully that's a good enough like introductory summary. And this video is already getting long, and I'm very nervous that it's gonna be really long. I mean, either way, I'm gonna keep this long. Here's the thing. I normally try to keep my videos to a certain time limit, but honestly, I don't care at this point. Like, for this particular video, I got asked a lot of questions. There's a lot of things I need to say. So if it's long, I mean, it's all really good, valuable information. So hopefully you don't wanna skip through it, but I will get to my points hopefully as fast as I can. We're gonna start off with any questions related to requirements for the college program, because there's so many that I got asked. Do you have to do the Disney college program to work with Disney? Meaning, do you have to start as a college program participant in order to end up with Disney? No, you do not. This is a program that a lot of people like to do as a starting point with Disney, but it is not a requirement. You could go straight to applying for full-time or part-time with Disney, and there's also different kinds of internships. For example, the next most popular one is professional internships. So these professional internships, however, a lot of them say that they prefer that you have been in the college program first. So that's why a lot of people go from the college program to a professional internship. However, you do not have to do this to start. You could end up going straight into full-time. And there is an external website where you can apply. It's My Disney Careers. You can go on there and you can apply for full-time jobs. I personally did not know if I was gonna end up wanting to stay with Disney, and this kind of made my decision for me, like, because I did the program and now I'm like, okay, yeah, like I see myself ending up with Disney. I want to work with them in the long run. Not everyone does it for that reason. Some people do it just for the experience. Some people do the internship as like a temporary thing, which is totally fine. Like, again, it's not required that this is like your way of ending up with Disney. Like, you literally could do this for the experience. You just have to know that it is an internship. It's a full-time job basically, and it is like hardcore. A lot of people prefer to start with the college program when they're considering working for Disney, because then that way it's a temporary thing. You're there for a few months, you can see how you feel about it, and you can always come back. Like, you do not have to do the program and stay in full-time right after. Like, you can always do the program, go back home, finish school or whatever it is that you want to do, and then go back and you still have it on your resume. It's there, like you've done it. So the next question is kind of packed. There's a couple little points to it, so I'm just gonna break it down. So the first one is, do you need to be a certain major in college to get into the college program? No, not at all. Your major doesn't even have to be related to Disney at all. I was a psychology major. The next question kind of related to that is, can you get a role that's related to your major? Yeah, it would be awesome if like there's a role that I read that maybe kind of relates to your major. Hospitality, for example, if you're a hospitality major and you really like to do front desk, they might look at that and draw the connection and possibly put you in for that reason. But what I'm trying to say is there are certain roles that I guess you could make a connection to your major with, but when they choose you, I don't think that they use your major to choose your role. They do it more on work experience, I believe. I am going to get into this later, but something that you'll always hear is the whole process of the recruiters choosing your role is something that no one will probably ever understand. I can't know for sure how that's done. I don't know how they choose people. I don't know how they chose me. You shouldn't stress too much about what role you're gonna get. In the end, you're not the one choosing it, and they have a process that no one knows in how they choose people. I hope that answers it and clarifies it. And then another question kind of in this category is, can you do the program when you're in community college? Yes, you can. This is another thing that a lot of people ask about. It does not matter what school you are enrolled in. It can be community college, it can be university, it can be whatever, but you have to be enrolled in a college in order to apply. Another way that you could apply also is if you have just graduated. So here's the exact specific answer. You have to be enrolled in a school for at least one semester. So the Disney College program is not going to serve as your first semester of school. You can't be like accepted into a school and then go straight on the program. You have to be a freshman, I guess, for like one semester. And then if you are graduated from school, you have to apply for the program within 12 minutes, within 12 months of graduating. That's the exact requirements. Hopefully that answers what a lot of you were wondering about. And then graduate students may apply. However, it is important to note that this program and its educational components are designed for undergraduates. I read that off of the official program's website. I applied when I was still enrolled in school, but I was in my last semester. So by the time I graduated, I ended up doing the program right after graduation. So I graduated in May, I started my program in August. That was actually something that I had wanted to do. I didn't want to do it during school, and that's something to mention is when you go on the program, you're still enrolled in your school. You're not necessarily taking a semester off, but you are taking the semester to do the internship. So for example, let's say that I have been in school for a year. I was a freshman, I completed my freshman year, and I applied for the program. I would be going and doing the program during my first semester of sophomore year. So then when I went home, I would have to start that first semester of sophomore year at school because I didn't take any classes and didn't get any credit, if that makes sense. I don't want to say it holds you back, but it does push everything forward one semester. All right, so the next question is, do you have to have certain work experience to be accepted into the program? And I was asked, what experience do I have? You do not have to have specific work experience at all. It does not matter. All of my friends, all the people that I knew had completely different experiences with work. For me personally, way back in high school, all I was doing was nannying. One summer I worked as an office assistant. When I went to college, I had a work study job, so I worked on campus while I was in school, like physically at school, as an office assistant for the associate provost. And then during the summers, I would work at a Panera. And there were also little volunteer things here and there, but that's the general work experience that I had. So then when it comes to the application and when you're getting interviewed, they do ask for your work experience on the online application. You put all of it in. They just like to see what you've done, I think. And I do believe that they use your work experience when choosing your role, but at the same time, it's not like they do it religiously. Like it really depends on the situation and the person, because I've seen people who have literally have been a lifeguard and they don't get lifeguarding as their role at Disney. So like I said, I cannot tell you exactly how they choose people, but they do like to see your work experience. And then in my interview for example, they chose certain things in my work experience that they asked me about. They actually pulled out the job that I was mentioning that I had at college, which is the office assistant. They asked me to talk to them about it. That was one of my questions, and I just told them what I did. It was on my resume and it was on my application, but they wanted me to talk about it. So I did, but I got quick service. So it really just depends on the person and the situation. I don't know how they choose it, but they do ask for work experience. But no, it does not matter what that work experience is. So then the next category that I have here is more related to the application. I did kind of already get into that, but these are more application specific questions. The first one I feel like I already answered, but it's how do people get chosen and put into roles? Like I said, I don't really have an answer for this, and I don't think anyone really does. The way that they choose people is really pretty much unknown, and like I said, I really don't think that you should stress about it because everyone's gonna get something different, and either way, I think that if you really want to do the program, then you'll have a lot of fun in whatever role that you're given. The next question is, and I guess I covered this one a little bit too, do you get to choose your role or your preference of your role? Did you guys hear that? My heart just dropped to my feet. I already mentioned that no, you don't really get to choose your role. However, on the online application, there's a section where you put all of the roles that you're interested in. I personally put almost all of them because I was just concerned with getting in. I wanted to get in the program so badly. You do not have to put all of them. So that list of roles that I mentioned in the beginning of this video, they are all on there, and you click on all of the ones that you are interested in. After that, you put in how interested you are. Obviously, you can put the no interest, but you can do low, medium, and high interest, I believe. I personally don't know if that even matters. I think that when they look at it, they see any kind of interest as interest, which makes sense because if you put any amount on there, they're gonna see, okay, they're okay with working this role. So that's something to keep in mind, and that's something that I've heard other people say a lot, is that if you really, really don't want a role, don't put low interest, put no interest. So it honestly just depends on the person. If you just wanna get in, then put interest on a lot of them. If there's a certain couple of roles that you really don't wanna do, then just put no interest on those. I can't tell you how likely you are to get in based on the roles that you have, so it's kind of something where I feel like you just kind of need to decide that for yourself. So for me personally, I think that I only put a couple roles with no interest. I think it was housekeeping, custodial, and maybe like one other. So then later, if you are pushed through to the interview step and you get a phone interview, they do sometimes ask you if there is a role that you want to talk about. So during the interview, they do bring up random roles and they ask random questions about those roles. However, at a certain point, not with everyone, but with some people, they ask you, is there any role that you want to talk about that we haven't covered? That did actually happen with me. They picked a couple of roles out and asked some questions, and I had wanted to talk about Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. That was my top role. That's the one that I wanted the most because I love working with kids and I think that would be such a fun role. So I said, yes, of course, like I would love to talk about Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique actually, if that's okay. I just went through and talked about anything from my past that maybe applied to Bibbidi Bobbidi. So like, for example, I grew up with dance. I helped a lot at dance recitals, doing girls' hair and makeup, stuff like that. So I brought that up, and then I talked about how much I love working with children, and I just pointed out little things here and there that I think I would love so much about working in that role. Once I did that, they actually ended up asking me a specific question about the role. They gave me a scenario-based question. Like, for example, I can't remember what question it was, but I think it was something like, if the little girl's nervous about getting her hair and makeup done, what would you do to make her feel better? So they do ask scenario-based questions, and they did ask that because I expressed interest in that role. So if that gives you a little bit of an idea of how you can put your preferences in. So then the next question that I got related to the application is, did you get in on your first try? I did. I was very, very nervous, but I did get in on my first try. Not everyone does, and I'm just gonna go ahead right into the next question because they're pretty much related. A lot of people asked for tips on getting in and tips for people that have applied before and haven't gotten in and are still trying to get in. So the biggest tip that I could possibly give you is to be honest and to be yourself. This, I guess, more applies to the phone interview if you get to that stage, but that's something that I had to keep telling myself to do because I get nervous easily. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. Like, even though I got on my first try, I was so nervous, and I get nervous so much with this kind of stuff. When they ask you questions, they want to hear your honest experience. Like I said, they ask so many scenario-based questions. Just use that opportunity to be able to explain it in depth and be yourself in that process. Don't try to give a textbook answer. Don't try to answer it the way that someone else would answer it. Just answer it how you genuinely feel about it. Don't stress out too much. Be happy. Enjoy the time that you have answering the questions. Like, something that I cannot stress enough is the interviewers are not out to get you. They want to help you. They want to hear your stories. Mine was so nice. She was so nice to me. She engaged with me and asked me questions during my interview that weren't even like related to the interview. Like, we made conversation about Disney. Like, it's not scary. You shouldn't be scared about it. I guess if I rewind and go back to the initial application, the written one. So disclaimer, I don't know for sure if these tips are what helped someone to get in or if they helped me to get in, but something that I personally would recommend for the written application, the online application, is try not to make your job experience so short. Make sure that when you're talking about it, you're wording it professionally. One thing I did, and this is a tip that I have found from other Disney YouTubers, so I didn't come up with this myself. You can go online and you can go to the Disney College Program website and read about the roles. And in the description of those roles, Disney uses a ton of different words that they use quite often. Like, for example, Disney has 4 keys, which are safety, courtesy, efficiency, and show. Those are the 4 keys, and they use those a lot when explaining their roles. So it's recommended to go through and pick up on those words and incorporate those words into your work experience, but do it in a way that actually works. So like, if I'm able to pick something out that I did in one of my jobs that was courteous, for example, I'm gonna make sure that when I'm explaining that job, I courteously did A, B, and C, stuff like that. I would highly recommend searching on YouTube for videos about the application process, but those are the biggest tips that I would have coming from me personally.
Oh geez. Hey guys, so I apologize for how I look. Just gonna say that up front. So here's the thing. This video, as you can see, is getting extremely long, but the problem is that it's literally only halfway edited. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna split it up into 2 videos. I'm gonna do a part 1 and a part 2. I did not want to do it this way. I did actually put a survey on my Instagram asking you guys which way you prefer. Most of you actually voted for the long one, and honestly, that's what I was gonna do, but since we were getting way too long here, and I don't want to cut out a bunch of questions because you guys asked a lot of questions and I gave a lot of information. So what I'm gonna get into on the next video, on part 2, is my experience on the program. I'm gonna upload it next week. It's gonna be next week's video, so don't worry, you'll have it soon. And for this video, I'm gonna cut it off here. But thank you guys for asking all of the questions that you did. I hope that this video is informative for you and answers everything that you did ask related to those 2 categories that I kind of talked about and the program in general. So of course I am gonna mention this in next week's video, but you are more than welcome to comment below any other questions that you have related to the program. I'll do my very best to go through and answer as many as I can. Sometimes it's hard to get through all my comments, so if I don't get to it, don't worry, we have another video where you're gonna see more questions answered and you're gonna be able to ask more. So yeah, you know, I've got this nice look here, glasses, wet hair, no makeup. Hopefully you guys will forgive me for having to split this up because most of you didn't want me to, but now you have another video to look forward to. So if you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here. And I hope you guys are looking forward to next week's video, which is part 2. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys then. Bye!